2 police officers shot in the line of duty and 4 officers now on administrative leave. Tonight, what's going to change going forward? The economy, taxes, and a possible government shutdown, those are just some of the issues the Republican presidential candidates faced in tonight's debate out in Colorado. WSAV News 3 at 11 starts now.
Now, the smart choice for news, weather, and sports for Georgia's coastal empire and the South Carolina Lowcountry. This is WSAV News 3 on your side at 11.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, October 28th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Seth Kovar. A traffic stop turned into an exchange of gunfire between 4 Savannah Metro police officers and another man. When it was over, the man was dead and 2 officers were hurt. Tonight, 4 officers are on administrative leave with pay after that shooting. All of those officers were part of Savannah's anti-violence task force. Earlier tonight, Chief Jack Lumpkin said he thinks the officers did what they needed to do to protect themselves and the community. But that'll be up to the GBI to decide. And because the GBI is investigating, the chief could only offer a few details. Chief Lumpkin says the officers were doing warrant checks. They saw a car endangering the community's safety, and they stopped it. That's when the gunfire started. 25-year-old Tyree Kyler was shot and killed.
Unfortunately, again, we're saddened by the loss of life, but we know and pray that our officers were in policy and performed heroically to save their own lives. They were attacked, they were shot at, and they survived.
Those 2 officers, APO Ruben Colon and Officer Michael Gonzalez, were shot last night. The bullets just grazed the officers. Both of them are now at home, and they're doing just fine. As the GBI investigates, agents will have a new tool to help them. It's the body cameras, which were ordered after Charles Smith was shot and killed. 3 of the officers were wearing body cameras during the gunfight last night. The video from those cameras should give a first-hand view of what exactly happened that led to Kyler's death. Now, News 3 is also learning more about the man who fired the shots at police. We found out that Tyree Kyler is a convicted felon. He spent time in prison in 2009 for robbery and possession of cocaine, but that didn't end his trouble with the law. We also discovered that Kyler was arrested in McIntosh County back in March. That time, Kyler was charged with possession of a gun by a convicted felon and theft by receiving stolen property. That was his last run-in with the law until his deadly encounter last night. A new twist in the often controversial police merger between the city of Savannah and Chatham County. County Chairman Al Scott saying he'll veto a recent vote from his own commissioners. Last Friday, 5 of the 9 commissioners voted to stop negotiating with the city on a new merger agreement and finally move forward to start a separate county police department. They say it may end up actually costing people who live in Chatham County less. But Scott's not so sure. He says county residents may end up paying more down the road.
I understand the anxiety and the anxiousness of members of the county commission, but they only represent 12.5% of the voters each. And I represent 100% of them. And I also have to take in consideration what's best for the total community.
Now, Scott informed commissioners of his veto intentions in a letter today, and he says legally he can do it. Dean Kicklighter, one of the commissioners that voted to cut ties with the city, disagrees, and that's why he and other commissioners plan to appeal to Georgia's Attorney General. They don't believe that Scott has the right to throw out their vote. New at 11, police are investigating a home invasion in Hampton. It happened around 6 tonight at an apartment complex on Holly Street East. One person was shot and taken to the Hampton Regional Medical Center, and police did make 1 arrest. They haven't released that person's name or the victim's name. Lots of officers are still at the scene, and state investigators are beginning to arrive there as well. It's not clear how badly the victim's hurt. We'll bring you more information as soon as we get it. For the 3rd time, the Republican presidential candidates debated the issues. They're hoping to get noticed by voters in that very crowded field. Just like the other debates, there were actually 2 tonight. The top 10 candidates in the polls took part in one debate and the last 4 in another. Mary Maloney has the highlights.
The focus of the 3rd Republican presidential debate was the economy.
We are on the verge, perhaps, of picking someone who cannot do this job.
The candidates seemed to talk less about finances and more about each other, like Jeb Bush questioning Marco Rubio's voting record in the Senate.
And other political news, Wisconsin Congressman Paul Ryan has been officially nominated to be the next Speaker of the House. In a secret ballot vote this afternoon, Ryan was the choice of 200 of his fellow House Republicans. Ryan now needs 218 votes in a full House vote tomorrow to officially become Speaker. Many Republicans who had opposed Ryan are now expected to instead vote for him. Ryan says the Republican Party has lost its vision, but he plans to change that.
This begins a new day in the House of Representatives. John Boehner served with humility and distinction, and we owe him a debt of gratitude. But tomorrow, we are turning the page. We are not going to have a House that looked like it looked the last few years. We are going to move forward. We are going to unify. Our party has lost its vision, and we're going to replace it with a vision.
The vote ends weeks of uncertainty after John Boehner suddenly announced his resignation as Speaker. Ryan, you'll likely remember, was the Republican Party's vice president nominee under Mitt Romney in the 2012 election. Former Speaker of the House Dennis Hastert pled guilty today to violating banking reporting laws in his hush money case. He admitted to agreeing to pay $3.5 million to cover up some misconduct in his past. Hastert read a brief statement in court that focused on how he technically did break banking laws. In a written statement, he said he agreed to compensate and keep confidential his prior misconduct against an unnamed person. The plea deal also says that Hastert lied to the FBI about the so-called hush money withdrawals. Prosecutors recommended a sentence of up to 6 months in prison. The judge will decide Hastert's punishment in February. Next on News 3 at 11, the very latest on this viral video showing an officer dragging a student out of her chair. A decision has been made about the officer's future. And more car recalls to tell you about. This time it's more than 200,000 Mini Coopers and Ford SUVs. We'll tell you what you need to know to stay safe on the roads. Now let's take a live look outside of the Safe Touch Savannah cam. Chris is on the way with your complete Storm Team 3 forecast. You're watching News 3 on your side at 11.